And as you all probably know, every training is now required. I'm not sure about California laws, but in North Carolina and Colorado, every training is required to have an alliteration of some sort in order to put the training on. And so this is my alliteration here: connection, clarity, and culture. And it's these are principles that really guide you to create an onboarding process that is not just getting them on board, but it creates meaning for them. It allows them to answer that question, am I in the right place? And connection, of course, refers to those relationships that we develop at work. And again, not just to your team. I would really ask you to think about not just your own team, but the whole organization, as a way of helping to break down barriers or those silos, but also to help create from the start those kind of networks that help information be shared across programs. And then clarity is really just ensuring, like somebody mentioned in the chat, being sure that they know what their new job is, and at a tremendously deep level, but also any kind of related expectations they have. So being clear about that. And I thought this was interesting. You probably know Daniel Goleman. He said this recently: in a world of uncertainty, layoffs, AI disruption, new employees are looking for stability, clarity, and purpose. And onboarding is the first test of whether they're going to find it here, which I thought was pretty powerful and makes sense to me as I talk to people that are going through this time of uncertainty. So then the last one, which we'll go into a little bit, or to a great degree, is culture. And again, that new staff person fitting into the culture of an organization is incredibly important, incredibly influential in whether they're going to stay for a while. It's hard to actually, if you don't feel like you belong there or you fit into the culture of a place, for whatever reason, it's pretty hard to stay in that job, honestly. And I want to be clear, when I talk about culture, the research and everything, they talk about culture and climate. And the distinction they make is culture is that the way we do work here. That's my definition of culture, with the way we do work here. And for example, do we talk about successes and failures? I mean, in my experience with organizations, if there's a child death or if there's a serious mistake made, there's lots of meetings. It's pretty rare for me to come across in a group that also talks about when they have a big success and have meetings to talk about how they did it. Okay. A huge one, if you talk about psychological safety, is, do they have a culture where we can ask for help? That's a nice example and tells you a whole lot about that organization. And then climate is how it feels to work here. How it feels to work here, right? Does it feel supportive? Does it feel stressful just walking in the door? Does it feel fun, like an old job I had? Does it feel like you're going to be isolated in this new role? So I just want to be clear that when I talk about culture, it includes both of those things: how we do things here and how it feels to work here. And then if you think about culture, just read these 5 characteristics, if you will. That's probably not the right word, but take a look at those. So, the question is, how does one learn how things are done here? If you look at this, it kind of describes how it's done. There's a lot of behaviors and a lot of practices, if you will, in these pieces of culture, which means that we really learn culture by observing and interacting with people.